known as the Iceman, who is serving multiple life sentences, answered many questions about his brutal, cold-blooded killings, solving many cases. But the unanswered question remains: why?
I was a person who was able to hurt somebody at any given time with no remorse. And who could do it over and over again without it bothering them.
Did you think of yourself as an assassin?
Assassin? Sounds so exotic. I was just a murderer.
In July of 2002, HBO invited Dr. Park Dietz, a world-renowned psychiatrist and consultant to the FBI, to search for an answer to the mystery of the twisted criminal mind of Rيtchárd Kuklinski. With the Iceman's cooperation, Dr. Dietz spent 13 hours over 4 days talking with him to try to understand this human killing machine.
If I understand you correctly, you're positive you killed more than 50 people, and
Definitely.
you think you probably killed more than 100 people.
Definitely.
You're sure of that one?
Definitely.
But not sure it's more than 200?
I wouldn't say definitely to that.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
I would say less than 200 people.
Well, you tell me.
It's not less than 200 people.
You killed more than 200 people.
Sure. Yep. I killed, basically, 100 people when I was a young man, before I even knew anybody. Too much. One part of my life, I killed people for nothing. Just for somebody to look at me wrong, I would kill them. Stab them, shoot them.
You tended to shoot people up close and personal.
Definitely. I wanted to tell them just before they left. I wanted to say goodbye.
Did you like to look them in the eye?
I wanted them looking straight at me. This was a long way away. The distance we are now. We were closer.
What did you want them to think as they died?
Just see my pretty face. I take it to them. But the last thing they ever saw was me. And if they carry that glimpse to eternity, infinity, or whatever it is, they're gonna be thinking of me all that time. I'd be looking in their eyes. I would see the blankness come over it. I'd watch them die. I just didn't shoot them and walk away. I saw the surprise, the shock, the blank. Psst. They're gone. And all I saw was my reflection. But that's it.
Did you have a favorite place you'd like to shoot?
A favorite?
Yeah.
Well, most of the time, if you're up close, you shoot them under the chin. You would shoot him. Shot a guy one time in his Adam's apple. See how long it would take him to die.
How long did it take?
A few minutes. He drowned, actually. He didn't.
Drowned in his blood?
Mm-hmm. I was with somebody else. We had a $50 bet. I lost.
You thought he'd go faster, huh?
Yes.
Do you know what an adrenaline rush feels like?
Oh, yeah.
What will give you one?
Sex. It's the only one. I don't really get anything from hitting anybody, hurting anybody, shooting anybody. Does nothing for me. The only thing that gives me pleasure is sex.
Well, that's a different kind of pleasure than what an adrenaline rush
It's the only pleasure I get.
Yeah.
If I were to beat somebody up, it would do nothing for me. If I knocked them down and stepped over them, that's why you see it doesn't bother me. I don't care to hurt anybody. It does nothing for me. Killing someone else.
But you could never get a feeling out of it.
I never got one, though. It was disappointing. That's when I figured I must be crazy. Because I figured some of them should have some kind of a feeling. Something.
The Iceman's sessions with Dr. Dietz reveal that even at the age of 10, Richard Kuklinski was already showing signs of pathological behavior.
How were you with animals at that age?
Deadly.
Cats, dogs?
Cats, dogs. I used to tie two cats' tails together. I drove over a clothesline and watched them rip each other apart.
How long does it take?
Not long.
Did they both die?
I don't know. I never stood around to see the final thing. I would say eventually they both died because they were both pretty well tore up.
Gotta be noisy.
It was quite noisy.
What else would you do with cats?
Well, we had the incinerator in the projects there. So I threw a cat in the incinerator. Then I threw a book of matches in there. And through the door, I watched the fire get bigger and bigger, and this cat was running around, trying to get away. Eventually, the fire got too big for him, and he didn't run anymore.
You only did one cat?
No. That
Yeah.
was a pastime.
Did they all behave the same way?
Most, one almost got out the door. He almost jumped back up, came out the door, I threw him in. Because that's where I was looking, and he almost came back out.
How about dogs?
I've kicked them off the roof. Tied them to the back of a bus. Then they'd just be dragged once they got tired. Never saw the end of those things, so just did it.
Do you remember any feelings associated with it?
I don't think so. Might get maybe a little excitement. Most of the time, though, after that, I felt disgust that I did it. Because I didn't really do anything that took any kind of a challenge. I just did it on some kind of helpless nothing. They couldn't stand up to me anyway.
And you'd be alone when you did this?
Yes.
Did you say you were bored?
Mm-hmm.
Is that mostly what it was about, fighting the boredom?
Probably. When you had nothing to do, so look for some, break the monotony.
Richard's father, Stanley, was the adult who had the most impact on his childhood. It was from him that Kuklinski learned how effective violence could be.
What's the worst beating you ever took from your old man?
I don't think there's much difference in any of them. They were all pretty bad. He left his mark on me, pretty much.
And he did most of that before you were, what, 11?
Yes, I was young.
And was that worse when he was drinking?
With Stanley, it didn't really matter whether he was drinking or he wasn't drinking. He was a nasty son of a bitch, and he always will be to the day he died. And even when he died, he was a nasty son of a gun.